We haven't really talked about the history of the Middle East in this class, so I'm going to give you guys a little lesson about like the first people, which is us. So I'm Assyrian, so that's why I chose to do this. I'm really passionate about people knowing who we are, since we are such a small minority. So my argument is that we do exist because on February 20, 2003, Bill O'Reilly actually said on his show, "I don't believe there are any Assyrians in existence today." So then he got a lot of backlash for that. A lot of Assyrians started emailing him and sending him letters saying, "You don't know anything about Assyrians, we're still around, you obviously don't know what you're talking about." So all he had to say was something to the effect of, "All I know about them is they went around conquering people in 2500 BC, I don't know who they are." So we're still around, and one of the reasons we're still around today is because our culture is so strong and so rich, and it has kept us alive so long. So basically we came from Asher, which is the son of Shem, so son of Noah, so Noah's like kind of our grandpa in a sense. So we actually were inhabitants between the Tigris and Euphrates River, and that's demonstrated on our flag, which is here, and you can see the two lines, and that represents the Tigris and Euphrates River. Our capital was Nineveh, and Assyria is actually like in north of Iraq as of now. So we still now have villages north of Iraq and south of Iran, and we've been there since before Jesus, and we're still there today. We do have tribes, and they're like a combination of villages. So we kind of call them matted, so that's tribes, and so we have like, if you're from this area and this town, then you're part of that. And they kind of have their own traditions, but it's also still in line with all of the Assyrian traditions. So this is a map, and you can also see a map on the board that I brought. And this is where modern day Assyria would be. So our military. So some of the earliest battles recorded in history were actually in Mesopotamia. And the Assyrian Empire was known to be one of the strongest. So Sargon was an Assyrian king. He had an army of 5,400 men. He's known to have one of the strongest armies of our people, and he actually was way ahead of his time. He was using chariots and missile weapons and like different kind of swords and spears that weren't even around, and he kind of like started doing that to take over different countries. And one of my favorite facts about us is we hunted lions. A lot of our like artwork has Assyrians like killing lions, so like I put a picture of like, this is like one of my favorite photos, but it's just really cool. It kind of shows how tough we were. So our religion is actually Christian. We're actually the first converts to Christianity. Aside from Armenians, we're one of the only Middle Eastern ethnicities that is Christian. We really only marry Christians, and that's just been something that we've done since ancient times until now, because it's something that has separated us this whole time, and we wanted to make sure that it still separated us, and that Assyrian and Christian were one and the same, and they weren't segregated at all. That was really important, and it still is today. So if you choose to marry outside of the Christian faith in like Assyrian culture, it's like frowned upon. The elders will kind of like look down on you, and they'll tell you to your face like you're making the wrong decision, because they really want all of the future Assyrians to be Christian, and it's really important to them. So because of different splits in the church, the following groups are sects of Assyrians that represent themselves by religious affiliation, and that would be the Maronites, the Jacobites, and the Chaldeans. I'm sure you guys have heard of Chaldeans. There's a lot of them in San Jose. So our language is Assyrian, but it's actually Neo-Aramaic, so it's the language of Jesus. We're actually all over the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, sprinkled everywhere. There's Eastern and Western dialects. So after we got taken over and we fell, a lot of Assyrians either went to Iraq or Iran. So I can tell if you're from Iraq or Iran if you're Assyrian by the way you speak Assyrian. So if I'm Iranian Assyrian, if I say how are you, I'm going to say Dahi Vit with a V. But if I'm from Iraq, I'm going to say Dahi Wit with a W. So it's a very small difference, but it's a way we can tell kind of where you're from just by the way you talk. And there are a couple different words, like refrigerator and stuff, they seem different. So I know both because my dad's actually from Iraq, my mom's from Iran, so I'm half and half, but most of the time it's usually Iranians marry Iranians and Iraqis marry Iraqis, just because of the different cultural, like how they act. But so all Assyrian words are conjugated. I can't even say thank you to anybody without saying it to a man, a woman, or a group of people. I can't even say hi. Everything has to be very like, if if I say thank you to a girl, it's basimta, to a guy, it's basima, to a group of people, it's agitum basim. So it's not like, it's a really difficult language to learn because it's not like one ending is the same for every word. It has to be applied specifically. So we have really specific words for like our family members as well. If I was gonna say my dad's brother, I can't just say my uncle. I have to say my mamuna because mamuna is literally my dad's brother. It's not, or if I say my nephew, I wouldn't just say my nephew. I'd say, okay, my sister's son or my brother's son. It has to be like, so you know who we're talking about when we say it. So this is our alphabet. So a lot of the things that people don't know, I don't know if you guys remember the speech that the president gave. He talked a lot about Babylon. That was actually a lot of us. So Assyrians are known to like start inventing a lot of things. It's not that we were the only ones that did these things, but we were among the first, and people built upon us, and we built upon other people's ideas as well. So a couple of the most important things that we're known for inventing are like, we created civilization. So King Hammurabi's laws, that was us. He created the first university of Nisibis, that was in Assyria. Library, first writing system, cuneiform. The Gate of Ishtar, that was the first arch. So stuff like that. We really take pride on the things that we've invented. So the lamassu. So I actually brought a lamassu to show you guys. It's this. So the lamassu is an ancient sculpture. It's kind of like it's like a symbol of who we are. So it has three parts. It has the head, the body, and the wings. So the body is actually a bull, and it demonstrates strength because in Assyrian times, the wild bulls of Mesopotamia were huge beasts, up to 183 centimeters at the shoulder, and they were hunted by the kings. So the eagle, the wings represents the eagle, and how the eagle is the most powerful bird in the sky, and it symbolizes the king's power as he looks over those that he rules. The head of the lamassu is a crowned human head, and it represents intelligence, with the face of the lamassu carved to represent the king who ruled at the time the sculpture was created. So they were placed at the king's court. They were like deities protecting the king. The lamassu has 5 legs if you look at it from the side, and it has 4 if you look at it from the front. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Oh, and you can see these lamassus in London, New York, and France. London actually has a really extensive Assyrian history section, and all the Assyrians love to go there and hang out. They're all damn good. So if you look at the lamassu from the front, you'll see that it has 4 legs. And if you look at it from the side, you'll see that it has 5, because this represents the lamassu at rest, while this one represents the lamassu in motion. So it's kind of like how they protect the king and they walk with him or whatever. So basically this just talks about how we migrated. We migrated for religious freedom, and we first started coming in the 1950s. So education, Assyrians really emphasize education, and their running joke is like doctor, lawyer, engineer, and if you're not one of these things, like choose something that you're going to be good enough to be this. I mean, education brings respect in our community, which is a lot like all Middle Easterns in general. They really emphasize education. So we have dances, my favorite thing. So we have line dances called khigya. So Rishit khigya is like the head of the line. So I'll show you guys a video. The different dances are Bagiya, Galati, Janimun, Siskani, Guvara, Chobia, Tawlama, and Shekhani. So they're all different dances, and you can't like, they all have specific songs. So you can't do like a Bagiya to Shekhani or Shekhani to Bagiya. It's like very specific. And Shekhani would be our victory dance. We would dance that through countries when we took them over. And this is an example of how they did it then. This is Shekhani a long time ago. Like, well, it's a representation. So he's like leading Khigya with the sword because they would take over countries and walk through. And this is modern day. This is actually me and my friends at our Assyrian New Year this year. We celebrated 6,673 years of being around. We kind of go crazy, but it's fun. So you can get really creative. This is my favorite dance, is Bagiya. And you'll see that's my sister. She's leading the Khigya. She's one of the best Khigya leaders in all of Assyria, because you have to know where to lead the line. That's forward a little bit. You can see the whole line. So you can see there's like a lot of people there. We all get really excited. We're big partiers. We love to party. We have fun. So it's a little complicated, but they're fun. So our weddings usually, like, they used to last 3 to 5 days, but now we just keep the important tradition. So we start off with Talabuitan, that's the engagement, and elder means to ask. So it's like usually 6 months or a year before. They used to like consult the elders and bring money and all this stuff, but now they just So the bride's family will already be at the engagement, and then the groom's family will come with gifts and a bunch of jewelry to give to the bride, so we welcome you into the family. And they still ask, but they don't really give money, they just give jewelry. So weddings are an all-day event for us. It's very typical to have 800 or more people at our weddings. We start off with Kaduk Plata, which is taking the bride out of the house. We give a dowry, we get the bride, we go to the church, go to the reception, and then Kaduk Morakta, which is bringing the bride into the reception. So this is a short video on how they take the bride out of the house. So we get really excited, everyone cheers. There's like a whole house filled with Assyrians dancing, and we play like this big drum and this like clarinet type thing, but it's not. And they take the bride out, and they bring her down all the way to the car, and they dance in front of her outside. Everyone thinks we're crazy when we're outside, but it's really fun. And this is bringing the bridal party in to the wedding. And it's actually like, they dance them all the way to the table, to the head table. So it's my favorite part. I can't wait till I get there so I can do this, because it's like, everyone dances in front of you, and it's really fun. So, you don't have to watch the whole thing. Okay, so food. So food, we have like khurush, which is like our everyday food. It's like a stew, but it's a little thicker. They put it over rice. So they make different kinds, like with eggplant, potatoes, tomatoes. My favorite is okra, it's a bomb. Kebabs, everyone knows what kebabs are. Dolma, we make it a little different than the Greeks or anybody else, but it's really, really delicious. It's one of my favorite things. And some of our celebration foods for Easter and Christmas are kade and nazugi. And nazugi are really sweet little cake type things. They don't have like icing or anything on them, but they're really delicious. And kade is basically butter and flour, but it's so good. It's so bad for you. It's really good. So role of women. Women are not required to wear a head covering by religion. Essentially, we're equal to a man. We actually had an Assyrian queen Shamiran. She was a woman, and it's a really cool story about her. She asked her husband to be queen for a day, and when he let her be queen, she executed him, and then she ruled. So, like, yeah. And we actually have an Assyrian congresswoman, and an issue. She is representing Assyrians in the Congress right now, and this is the only thing that we kind of like base our woman on is like the Bible. So husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, and women's like submit to your husbands as the church submits to Christ. So national holidays, I told you guys about Chag Nisan. So 6,763 years was this year, April 1st, and we celebrated it, and we always celebrate it in spring because it's the beginning of like the new year for us. And we also celebrate August 7th, which is Martyrs' Day. So we reflect on all the genocides that have happened to us over the past like 300 or however many years. So convention, my favorite thing about Assyrians. Once a year, all of the Assyrians in the United States and Europe gather in one spot, and we have the best time with each other for 4 days. We celebrate our heritage. We have lectures, political forums. We have, like, at nighttime, there's parties. We just have a great time. So people from Germany, Australia, Sweden, Chicago, New York, Boston, Los Angeles, Detroit, everywhere come, and we all get together. We take over a resort for a weekend in Labor Day, or Labor Day in September, and we have a great time together. And it's fun because you can meet other Assyrians. And
what's their population in the US?
In the U.S. and Europe, I think it's like 1 million, and then 1 million in the Middle East. So our future. So what's going to happen to us? We're still like a minority, and we're still kind of small. So the main thing we're worried about right now is preserving our language and our culture and our traditions, and making sure that Assyrian language is taught. Ability to make Assyrian foods, preservations of songs and dances, and then to ensure this, me and my friends have actually started an Assyrian group for young people called Kuyama, which literally means uprising, because we want this generation to uprise and realize that, you know, if we don't teach our children our traditions, they're not going to experience the life that we got to experience, and they're not going to be able to have this rich culture. So we have to step up and learn from our parents and understand everything and know the language as well as English, and know how to cook all these foods so that we can teach them and they can teach their kids. And then the verse that we kind of live by is Isaiah is a prophet in the Bible, and he prophesied Jesus and Jesus' death. So he says that in the last days that there's going to be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and the Egyptians will worship with the Assyrians and all this stuff, but Assyria doesn't exist right now. So we say that since he prophesied this, we believe that one day we're going to have a country again. And Isaiah also says that God called Assyria the work of his hands. So just trying to grow and make people aware. That's it.